This is just a handrail. Cloudflare has a wall full of lava lamps they feed into a camera as a way to generate randomness to create cryptographic keys. Anonychia is the partial or total absence of one or more nails on the fingers or toes. A family of Zabas, one of the most ancient dog breeds in the world. 1 in a million shot of a blackbird catching a ride on an osprey stick in Michigan. This is what a Neanderthal would look like with a modern haircut and a suit. X-ray of Nikola Tesla's foot taken by himself using a machine he designed in 1896. A young woman who survived the atomic bombing of Nagasaki, August 1945. I find the history of agriculture in North America so interesting. Here's one of the reasons why. This is a chinampa. They were shallow lake bed gardens used by the Aztecs for farming. Their proportions allowed for optimal moisture retention for crops. A fully intact vintage Burger King was found behind a wall at the Concord Mall in Wilmington, DE. This photo was snapped by Jonathan Brute April of 2022. James Webb Telescope's Fine Guidance Sensor provides us with first real test image. A ceramic jar filled with thousands of bronze coins unearthed at the site of a 15th century samurai's residence just north of Tokyo, Japan. 1979 advertisement for London Transit showing how the city would look if built by American planners. FIFA has approved the use of semi-automated offside technology for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. A chip inside every official match ball will be used, with 12 dedicated tracking cameras in each stadium, to enhance fairness and fan enjoyment. I folded this origami angel from one uncut, unglued square of paper. In 1904, Ota Benga was kidnapped from Congo and taken to the US, where he was exhibited with monkeys in Bronx Zoo. Detail of water flowing over toes. Marble sculpture by Giovanni Lombardi, 1864. University of Michigan recover a woolly mammoth skull in a farmer's field in Lima Township, Michigan. A mother and her son on their way to a pride walk, 1985. This diver dude found an 11th Crusader sword in the senior Israel. A secretive system of communication used by homeless people consisting of various chalk symbols. There is a studio in Paris where they photograph your iris in high definition. I traveled for 2 straight days to shoot the Milky Way core from the Himalayas. Glastonbury Festival 2022, 220,000 attendees. The library in Prague was designed so beautifully, they turned it into an art museum. James Barry, 1789 to 1865. Inspector General of Military Hospitals for the British. Barry improved conditions everywhere he went and performed the first C-section by a European in Africa where the mother and child both survived. Upon death, Barry was discovered to a woman named Margaret Ann Bulkley. Men in Black, 1997. All the work that goes into capturing a shot of Will Smith sitting on a bench. In the 1930s, baby cages were used to ensure children living in apartment buildings got enough fresh air and sunlight. Michael Jackson was known for using disguises to allow him to go out in public throughout his life. These are a few of the weirder ones. This man's grandma has Alzheimer's and she wasn't drinking water. So he invented edible water that looks like candy, so patients with dementia can stay hydrated. This is called the tilt test that helped prove that London's double-decker buses were safe and not a tipping hazard, circa 1933. Octopus eggs. The mother is underneath, keeping watch, and doesn't move from there even to forage for food. Somehow she's incubating them, and they wouldn't survive without her. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher with members of the SAS after Operation Nimrod, which lasted just 17 minutes. American construction workers today versus 1932. Buildings got higher, workers got bigger. The way the storm has bent the overgrown grass in my friend's yard. 3 generations of bridges in Wales. Charging an electric ANC Gremlin at a curbside charging station 1 hour for 25 cents. Seattle 1973. Sophisticatedly wrapped mummy at the Louvre. Just found out the USAF has a program called the Order of the Sword, where they gift giant anime-looking swords to distinguished individuals. Mowed my yard and came back the next day to find the yellow garden spider had made a human-shaped pattern in their web. A 19-year-old Jimi Hendrix during his time in the 101st Airborne Division of the US Army, 1961. Natural copper replacement petrified wood. This is a display in the London Museum of Natural History. Wood that soaked in copper-rich fluids in a mine for so long that copper ended up completely replacing the wood. One of the best German invention of the war. The Wehrmachtsteam heat canister jerrycan. Its 3 handles allow carrying it by 1 or 2 men. The spring-loaded cap avoids accidental spillages, a common problem. It holds 20 liters and can float even if it's full. A letter from a trap miner to his wife before his death in the Fraterville mine disaster in 1902. A picture of the Colosseum from the sky. This rare alligator with spots, some even look like eyebrows, a mustache. Logarithmic map of the universe. The SS Princess May was a steamship built in 1888. The ship is best known for grounding in 1910, which left the ship sticking completely out of the water. This is one of the most famous shipwreck photographs. In AD 1200 the Italian city of Bologna had about 180 towers, the tallest at 97 meters, 320 feet high, still stands today. Ancient Roman statue 1st CE BC. Watermelons grown in boxes on the vine in Japan for convenient stacking, shipping and storage. Getting ready to use a crosswalk. A Seattle couple purchased a retired ferry boat and converted it into an $850 K-houseboat. My dad works at a glass factory. This is one of the rejected whiskey bottles. All varieties of tomato on one table. My local Arby's is an old mosque that was abandoned. Evolution of Picasso's iconic self-portraits from age 15 to 90. 15 years. 18 years. 20 years. 24 years. 25 years. 35 years. 56 years. 83 years. 85 years. 89 years. 90 years. 90 years. Women being arrested in Chicago because their swimsuits were too short in 1922. Corviale, Rome, one of the longest single residential building, 1 kilometer in length, housing around 8,000 people, 1970s. The building was created to be a self-sufficient experiment of social housing with stores, services, medical clinics, etc. It was designed to be a world of its own. Donkey nannies in Italy. Grazing animals are moved from high pastures down to the plains. Newborn lambs are unable to make this journey on their own, so they ride in the pouches of a specially made saddle on the back of a donkey or a mule nanny. They are then returned to their mothers. A close picture of baby bees. The Maserati Boomerang, 1972, cyberpunk of the 70s. To give birth, in the case of seahorses, is the father. A case of male pregnancy, the only exception of this kind in the animal world. One of the most chilling after effects of Nagasaki and Hiroshima atomic bombing was the shadows of people who were vaporized were preserved on the ground where they once stood. These are the fruits that roses produce. First of its kind carnivorous underground plant discovered trapping and feeding of larvae, beetles and worms. I took this picture in a cave, and somehow it made this extra hand by my hand. I'm scared. This tree in Buck National Park, Hungary was cut years ago, and the big one has been holding on to and feeding it ever since. They wake up together in the spring and go to sleep together in the autumn. The Congress of Freaks, some of the most popular freak show performers in America, promoted by the Ringling Brothers Circus. This picture was taken at their peak popularity in 1924. It includes George and Willie Muse, the ambassadors from Mars, Simon Metz, Pinhead, and Isaac W. Spragg, the living skeleton. A Persian soldier found at a tunnel in Dura Europus, the site of a battle in 3rd century AD. Him and 19 Romans were found dead there. He tried to launch a sulfur-based chemical attack that killed the Romans and himself. His best plate was pulled up, an attempt to breathe while choking. As you know, this is not a new issue. In 1977, Frank Press, Jimmy Carter's scientific advisor, warned the White House about the possibility of catastrophic climate change. Letter declassified a few days ago. Still getting purple and yellow tip seeds from this particular strain I bred crossing Granddaddy Purple and Blue Power. This is the 3rd time it's produced seeds like this. 2300-year-old ancient Greek pillar with a marble face inserted into it. It was offered by Praxius to the god of medicine Asclepius for healing his wife, who was suffering from an ailment on the eyes. Now on display at the Acropolis Museum in Athens. This is the Mitsubishi Dialtone D160, the largest subwoofer ever, constructed in the 80s. It weighs 800 kilograms, it can easily break windows, and it produces small earthquakes which can be felt as ground vibrations in the range of 2 kilometers. Bobby Fischer, age 21, in 1964, playing 50 opponents simultaneously, he won 47, drew 2 and lost 1. Flowering Kalanchoe in Honolulu, Hawaii. Kalanchoe was one of the first plants to be sent into space, sent on a resupply to the Soviet Salyut-1 space station in 1971. Former billionaire Chuck Feeney has given away over 99% of his $6.3 billion to help underprivileged kids go to college. He is now worth $2 million. This absolute unit of a crocodile with tasty snack, judging by the teeth it's probably ancient too. Firefighters at Sequoia National Park wrapping General Sherman, believed to be 2200 to 2700 year old, in fireproof material to protect it from nearby fire. A picture taken yesterday at sunset of a cloud formed in the form of a child sitting on the back of a bird, as if they were flying together in the sky. Artist Dario Campanile painted a gorgeous landscape painting that later became the Paramount Pictures logo, used from 1987 to 2002. Japan is so much in anime that they have their own Pokemon jets. Everybody is upset because this says Alaska is ours as a play on poor taste nationalism. but it's a cheeky ad for a region of Russia that is our Alaska called the Toffel Estate Nature Reserve. This is clearly called out by the pin drop and complete absence of Alaska on the billboard. Child artist Kieran Williamson, 9 years old, from Norfolk, England. A specialized fire suit used in the early 1900s by the London Fire Brigade to prevent fire from reaching the fire brigade. Someone put it besides the garbage bin, and I took it before someone could destroy it. Happens here all the time. It's complete and working. I can't stop looking at it. You put candles in the holes and the heat causes everything to spin. Patrick Doherty shapes living trees into amazing natural tree buildings. I built an observatory in my backyard to take pictures of deep space. This is the Eagle Nebula, captured using a 12-inch telescope. I removed all the stars to make the famous pillars of creation stand out more. This photo shows visible satellite passes over northern Michigan during a 45-minute window last night. Saw a double rainbow being illuminated by the setting sun just now. I don't think I've ever seen that before. The skeleton of Archaelonosaurus, the biggest turtle that has ever lived. It measured 15 feet from head to toe and weighed almost 5,000 pounds. I'm knitting a silver bracelet with a sewing needle. A large mass of used wet wipes has formed an island that has changed the course of England's second longest river. The locals of a remote Scottish island, St Kilda, climbed the cliffs of their small island to catch birds. In doing so they developed larger feet and ankles. St Kilda ankle shown on the right. In 1985, this movie was rushed to theaters because another director, Robert Zemeckis, was also putting out a sci-fi movie. That movie would be Back to the Future, hitting theaters 9 days prior. As a result, they never properly finished editing the movie and didn't find real success until it hit VHS. Roman tomb depicting a deceased dog approaching a table set with food offerings. The inscription reads, "Behold the tomb of Aeolus, the cheerful little dog, whose lost a fleeting fate pained me beyond measure." Found baby sea turtle tracks this morning. A photo of the Rhine in February 1956, the year Germany reached polar temperatures of more than -30 degrees Celsius. In the movie Zulu, 1964, King Sethswayo Kampand is portrayed by Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who was the chief of the Zulu nation at the time, and is Sethswayo's maternal great-grandson. Buthelezi is still alive as of the 3rd of July 2022. There is a cloud in Australia named Hector. Hector the convector forms almost every afternoon in the summer over the Tiwi Islands in the Northern Territory of Australia. The US and Canadian border at the Peace Arch Historical State Park. This is the U-2540. It's the only surviving type of the 21 U-boat in the world. The Type 21 U-boat is the submarine that is basically the ancestor of modern-day diesel submarines. It is the most high-tech submarine. The tobacco smoke enema was used by European physicians to cure many conditions from stomach pain to the resuscitation of near-drowning victims. Doctors of that day weren't aware that they were blowing smoke up people's asses in more ways than one. 4 young women playing volleyball on stilts at the beach in Venice, California, 1934. The Dracunculus medinensis can live in your body for up to 20 years. A Chechen civilian praying during the Battle of Grozny. The flame in the background is coming from a gas pipeline hit by a burst shrapnel. Dragon blood tree, Dracaena cinnaberi. Dracaena cinnaberi, the Socotra dragon tree or dragon blood tree, is a dragon tree native to the Socotra archipelago, part of Yemen, located in the Arabian Sea. It is named after the blood-like color of the red sap that the trees produce. Ornithologist Jerry McGahan is pictured with a 6-month-old Andrean condor, the largest flying bird on Earth. Thunder and lightning at night time in the clouds from a plane. A large underwater labyrinth in Florida, called the Eagle's Nest, known by some as the Mount Everest of cave diving. Since 1981, 10 deaths have been reported in the Eagle's Nest, including a father and son who died on a Christmas Day excursion. The site was closed to divers from 1999 to 2003. This is an Incan terrace, commonly featured in conspiracy videos as incidents for an extraterrestrial civilization. These, in reality, were just a unique method of farming. They would grow their crops on the level platforms and use stairs to go up and down the terrace's levels. The Alexander sarcophagus from about 330 BCE still has traces of its original bright colors. Angela Copson is breaking world records at 75 years old. This guy rides across Canada with his custom dog trailer for a good cause. The green skies from Sioux Falls today. I found this coin from 1852 while walking after a heavy thunderstorm. The world's oldest bottle of wine, approximately 1,700 years old, found in a tomb in Speyer, Germany. NASA probe snaps the moon passing in front of the sun in stunning images. Sound finders were used in World War I to figure out which way enemy planes were coming from. Mordechai Vanunu, also known as John Crossman, is an Israeli former nuclear technician and peace activist who, citing his opposition to weapons of mass destruction, revealed details of Israel's nuclear weapons program to the British press in 1986. The mushroom cloud of the Tsar Bomba, pictured here rising 37 miles above the clouds skimming the stratosphere. The most powerful man-made explosion in history. It was detonated by the USSR over the Arctic Circle in 1961, exploding with the force of 50 million tons of TNT.